On my last video, I honestly cannot believe how many people were asking me, what is this game? Is it still playable? Yo, this looks sick. Unfortunately, it's not still playable, but I want to talk about Lawbreakers today in the sense of the arena shooter. Is it dead and gone? Is it ever coming back? Will we see a resurgence of popularity of the arena shooter? And unfortunately, no, I don't think so. I want to explore my reasons why. These, of course, just my opinions. But anyway, for Lawbreakers, any of you who have no idea what this game is, I don't blame you. A lot of people don't. I'm one of the half dozen folks on YouTube who still upload this game, who completely are still so sad about its demise. Lawbreakers came out a couple of years ago, almost exactly around this time of year. It had a very small player base. In fact, the peak concurrent player count, I think, reached around 7,000 or 8,000. And it wasn't even in the top 100 games played on Steam within like a month of its release. It was really, really disappointing. And for no fault of really like the game itself, because mechanically, this game is super sound. It is ultra tight. Netcode is great. It was built by people who understood the golden era of Arena FPS titles and made a title that was super stinking fun to play. Had really creative concepts like in these low gravity zones where the movement tech completely changes. You could fire the gun behind you to push and propel yourself forward. It had all sorts of crazy movement tech outside of the grav zones and a bunch of different heroes, all with their own layers of skill that you could put a lot of time into and get really good at this game. And for a solid month, I played the heck out of it. I bought a copy for my friend. I loved this game, dude. And then it died so badly to where there was just 10 to 20 people on. Of course, you may know the story. Bosky didn't end up supporting the game throughout its like sort of projected timeline of content map, and you can't blame him when there's like 20 people playing at a time. However, they then transitioned into making their really weird 80s battle royale game, which pulled attention for a hot minute. And then that was over, and then apparently Lawbreakers was going to go free to play. It went free to play. The population didn't increase. It shut down last year. Long story short, Lawbreakers is really sad because it was reviewed well, great game, terrible marketing, bad PR, and for whatever reason, it just fell apart. And I think that reason kind of stems at a little bit deeper level. Let's ignore the personality stuff because I know plenty of folks can target like Cliffy B or the marketing and all the stuff surrounding Lawbreakers. I just want to look at Arena FPS themselves and why they're not popular anymore. If any of you played PC games in the late 90s or early 2000s, I would bet you anything Quake or Unreal Tournament was a title you were familiar with. If any of you played at LAN parties, I can ultra guarantee you probably played Quake or Unreal Tournament. Back then, late 90s, early 2000s, those games were king, and they were ultra fast, required huge amounts of individual player skill. 1v1 Quake, like competitively, was a big deal. Fatality, if you know that pro name, congratulations, we are now old. But that was the style of game back then. Players didn't have the amount of choices that they do today, right? Let's compare today's most popular shooters, the Overwatches, Counterstrikes, Siege. Those titles all have something in common. And granted, there are plenty of other great FPS titles out there, but I think you can sort of highlight those top three, CSGO, Overwatch, and Siege, as being the three main big hitters in terms of the largest populations. They all are very teamwork oriented. Not only that, they foster a really great sense of community. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, talking with your buddies online wasn't quite as popular, or shall we say as easy as it is today in an era of Discord. Now there's communities for everything, and almost any game out there, you can dive into a Discord, get into a lobby, and meet new friends almost immediately. Back then, again, that focus on the individual experience. Arena shooters, Unreal Tournament, Quake, it was all intensity when that match was going. Your snap 2 accuracy needed to be insane, tracking had to be on point. They were very tough, all-encompassing, intense games. I'm not saying that Siege or Counterstrike or Overwatch don't have moments of extreme intensity. They definitely do, but they lend themselves better to a community environment where you're sitting on the buy screen talking with your friends about what the next strategy is going to be, or the pick screen, or in Siege, it's when you're scouting out the map and trying to figure out where you're going to breach and enter. It gives you a really great balance of action and chill downtime to talk with your friends. I'm not saying that's the sole reason arena shooters aren't popular anymore, but I think that is a large portion of it. For right now, it seems like the teamwork shooter is where the eyes and the attention are. Perhaps because they're a little less intimidating to get involved with than arena shooters are, where if your individual skill isn't up to snuff, there is no hiding behind your teammates. Both Siege and Counterstrike are very tough games. I don't think you can really lean on your teammates too terribly much in those titles for very long once you start climbing the ranks. But there is something about those modern shooters that are a lot more inviting than Lawbreakers was, or even Quake Champions is. All of these modern attempts at recreating that arena shooter glory just never seem to catch on, or at least they don't catch fire in the mainstream. Splitgate, I did a video about that not long ago, kind of touting itself as the Portal Halo mashup, and it's a really fun game. It's free, you can hop on Steam and play it right now. However, player base is not that big, and the streaming viewability, like there's just not a lot of popularity for it. Arena shooters don't need to be front and center. They don't need to be the most popular thing in order for them to survive, so long as there's a big enough community for matchmaking to continue without a lot of friction, right? You don't want to be waiting 5 to 10 minutes for a match. You want to hop into a match and keep playing. So long as there's a dedicated player base that is just high enough for you to get into matches consistently, these communities can carry on. They can live and they can keep going. However, when it came to Lawbreakers, it couldn't even manage that. It's a really big bummer for me. In fact, I'm installing it over here on the PC to see what happens when you boot it up now. If you can even load up a custom game, or if it has some verification stuff on some server to where you couldn't even play this at a LAN party with a bunch of people who owned it. All right, here we go. It's Dragoon from the future. While I was editing this video, the update finished, or the install finished. We're launching Lawbreakers. Let's see if you can play Lawbreakers at all in 2019. Well, there's a play button. Oh, signing into network. That really stinks, because I can't even get in here to download a cool thumbnail, because some of the skins in this game were really, really cool. I'm sure there's somebody who's cracked this and you can get into it and play it offline, but the fact that it has a login authentication thingy, that stinks, dude. Not even third-party people can like carry this game on, even if they wanted to. So there you have it. It is Dunzo. Farewell, Lawbreakers. You will be remembered. All right, back to the past Dragoon. I don't think I've ever owned a game, at least not on Steam, that within 1 year I couldn't touch it. I couldn't play it any longer. And that's kind of the sad story of Lawbreakers, which had a lot of other things going for it. The bigger thing, too, for a lot of new FPS games coming out, you're competing with so many more games. There are so many titles that you can choose. So many options now that weren't there back in the early 2000s. And you really have to fight hard to get your share of the pie in this gaming universe. Especially when you look at the importance of Twitch and the popularity of your game online. The big streamers, or even marginally sized streamers, aren't playing your game and supporting it, and there aren't eyes on it. There's a better chance that you won't succeed to the degree that your peers are. You look at the popularity of both Fortnite and PUBG. Those games have something very much in common with the modern FPS success route. They have those moments of intensity with those moments of downtime. The narrative gives you the opportunity to joke around with your friends while you're running from town to town, looting up, and then all chaos breaks loose into a big gunfight, and the intensity ramps up. But it gives you a chance to chill and a chance to play at the same time, all while fostering a strong sense of community. I think most of you can agree it's way more fun to play games with other people than it is with just yourself. Obviously, there are some exceptions to that. 1v1 games like StarCraft. Actually, StarCraft's pretty fun in 2v2. But I think we're in sort of a limbo time for FPS games. A decade ago, it was the king. Modern Warfare era, Halo 3 era, that was the genre of game. Now, it's more so the Battle Royale title. But just like MOBAs had their day and BR games had their day at the very tip top, I think there's going to be another style of game coming into things. And we really haven't settled on, I think, the final form or final evolution of FPS games. There is gotta be a different formula out there that implements elements from a lot of different FPS games and brings it together in a way that none of us have thought about just yet. So what do you think about the arena shooter? Did you ever play Lawbreakers, by the way? If you did, shout out in the comments, because high five to you. We're a small community, but we remember. Especially if you played on the PS4, oh my gosh, that game, when it launched, had some serious hitching issues. Is there a future for arena shooters, guys? What do you think? Let me know about it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, hit the alarm bell, because apparently that's how you actually have to see videos in your sub box now. Follow me over on Twitter at BBKDragoon. Have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon.